Welcome to the third episode of CelebWorx Live, where we believe Bowser Koopa is not just a spicy Korean rice and soup dish. I'm Chris Arsaga.
And I'm Nery Lemus. Thanks for joining us.
And before we bring on our special guest, we want to remind you that you can be automatically entered to win an autograph 8x10 from our guest. All you have to do is share the live stream, and we will contact the winner after the show ends.
And I'm excited to bring on our second ever guest to the program, and he's our first client that we've ever had on the program. But before I bring him on, let's introduce him. Kenny James is best known as the voice of Bowser in the Nintendo Super Mario Bros. Franchise with over 35 title credits. It is the most recognizable video game franchise in the world. He has been providing the voice and personality of Bowser, the villain, since Super Mario Strikers in 2005. His other voice work includes Zingo, a storytelling dragon, for a children's program, narration, and audiobooks. He is a prolific theater actor, performing in musicals, dramas, and comedies, formerly in the Puget Sound area, and soon, and hopefully, to take the stage in the Dallas area. He has recently had character spots on anime projects such as One Piece, Legend of the Galactic Heroes, and Cautious Hero. We are proud to personally know him and his wife, and proud to call him a friend inside and outside the business. Please welcome Kenny James to CelebWorx Live.
Yay.
Yay!
Yay for me. Hey, look, where am I? Oh, there I am. It's like, which camera do I look at, you know?
Any camera you want, Kenny.
Thanks
for joining us.
I think it's my phone one, so we're good.
Thanks for being our first client on the air with us, Kenny. Boy, did you make a big mistake. Hope you're okay with taking some questions, and also to the general public. If you have any questions for Kenny or us, please post them on the official stream, and we will answer them if we can. Thanks. So, Kenny.
Yeah.
We're so excited to have you on, right, Nery?
Yeah, I'm stoked. It's great. You're not only a friend, but we know your stories. We know, sort of how to grab the gold out of you. So it's gonna be great.
We're gonna try to coax them out of you somehow.
Are my glasses reflecting too much?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
It's starting to get dark here.
So I guess we should start at the beginning, correct?
Okay.
And kind of work our way forward. So how did you get into this career, into voiceover?
Oh, man. As a million other people have heard so far, it was a right place at the right time story, you know? I was working at my job at Suburban Propane, selling propane. Yeah, that's right. Propane accessories. So I was talking about doing voice work, and my service manager, I guess best title for it at the time, he was working on this ladder at this lady's house, and she overheard me talking about it. So she says, you do voice work? And I said, I'm trying, and I had already taken a class at the University of Washington, what they call the experimental campus. And it was a voiceover class. And I did really good in that. So I had the teacher, the professor, so to speak, he produced a demo for me. So she asked if I had a demo. I gave her the web address because I had made this tiny little website. And she passed it on to the production manager at Bad Animals, which is the studio that Nintendo is using in Seattle. And they started sending me auditions, and I was doing video game auditions and not getting anything. And I thought, well, I stink. I need more training or something, and the Bowser one came up, and I says, well, here goes nothing. I guess it's different. So it was Scott Burns' lines from Super Mario Sunshine. I keep looking out the window. I need to... There's a window right in front of me. I keep seeing cars go by.
Like people out there all...
Yeah, no, not that bad. But... So it was the lines from Super Mario Sunshine, and they sent me Scott's raw tracks. So I thought they wanted a direct voice replacement, a voice match. So right. I did my best, Mario, how dare you interrupt my family vacation? And I got the job, and then I've never sounded like that since. I mean, ever.
And we're blessed for that. And people know you now as the quintessential voice of Bowser. I mean, there's people that are playing the Super Mario games that use animal sounds instead of your voice, and you have people in an uprising freaking out saying that's not Kenny James. Somebody put Kenny James back in, so
yeah, I get asked that a lot. How come you sound different in Smash, and I'm like, because it's not me. So that producer likes using animal sounds, so that's what he does. I've had people come up to my table at conventions and go, hey, in Smash you sound more like Godzilla. And I go, because it's not me.
Right, exactly. No, and you were saying a little bit earlier, just to touch a little bit more on it, but you said that so if you started 15 years ago, you got sort of a late start in this business. At what age did you start your career in this field?
Somewhere around 40.
Wow. That's a real life American dream story for people, Kenny. There's so many people out there that are our followers that think that they're not able to get into the industry because of their age. And you're the exception to that. It's incredible. It's a powerful thing. What kind of advice do you have for people that want to break into the industry, that are sort of later at that point of their life, and they want to try something else?
I think just keep trying. If you're trying, keep trying. And practice. Yeah, I didn't do as much practicing as I should, but I'm getting better. I keep getting ranked on here about practicing. I got to share the thing real quick.
One of the things about practicing, and I mean, you can talk a little bit about it, but I know early on the way you sort of practice was through trial and error, through voice work, which is you used to do voicemails for people, right? Like, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the very first thing I ever did was for some guy in Canada, and I don't even know. I had built myself this little website. I did the HTML myself. If you need buttons, you have to put in the code for it and all that jazz. It was pretty C-spot run, but it worked. So he was paying me about $8 a line to do Scooby and Shaggy, and I read this line like an angry New Yorker or something, So I'm like, hey, doing the New Yorker thing. It's whatever, and Shaggy and Scoob, man. But that's exactly why I was talking to my service manager at that job. Was because I go, I've been doing these one-liners for this guy, or there'd be a couple of lines as different characters, and so she was like, oh, you do voice work? And I was like, not really, have no idea what I'm talking about. Yeah, but it must have been around. It was about the time I was 40. I didn't start doing any stage acting until I was 40.
That's incredible.
So,
and
wow.
What decided? I mean, you were a musician for some time.
Yeah. I had been in bands for quite a while as a frontman, so I had no fear of going up in front of people or doing this kind of thing. So
can you tell us a little bit about the music that you used to partake in? What kind of bands? Talk about it. I know I've seen some photos. I wish I had them of the long Kenny James hair. Rock and roll hair.
Oh, I know. I'm all like now I'm going, okay, can I share my screen? I have to go and find them on Facebook or something and share it. They're in some of those pictures are in my Facebook photos. What was the question?
No, I was saying, so you were can you talk a little bit about you being a musician, how old you were, how was that lifestyle? Because it's very similar, I would think, to, I don't know if you used to travel and stuff, but it's similar to convention lifestyle.
No, I never got that big. It was right after I got out of the Navy. I wanted to, grow my hair back out and try to be a music guy. So I bought some drums, and my first wife hated them. As you can well imagine, but a spare bedroom in our house was full of drums, and I was banging away at those things all the time. And one day we were getting ready to go somewhere, and I was singing, I think it was some of the Outfield from that first album, and I was out in the living room, and she just goes, you sing better than you play drums. And I was all like, yeah. All right.
Maybe I should do that.
So I started looking for bands, and I found a flyer in the mall. This really badly made flyer.
That's amazing.
And, so these guys, though, the first band I was in, these guys were like 16 and 17, and I was 24.
Oh, wow.
And these guys are arguing over what happened at school. And I just want to, get on with rehearsing and stuff. And there was more than once I walked out of there in a huff going, fuck you guys. I just dropped an F-bomb.
You're totally like that movie Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg. You just
Yeah, so from that, then I was at the music store in town one day, and the music store owner guy was all like, yeah, I hear you're doing a really good job as a singer, because he's the guy that sold me the drums.
Oh, wow.
And I was all like, I don't know about that, and he goes, you ever heard of the band Titanic? And I was like, yeah, I've heard of the band Titanic, because they played at this great dive that used to be in Bremerton called the Lakeshore Inn. And it was the best dive ever. And so I went and started talking to the main band guy in that, and they were looking for somebody. So I went and auditioned. My first audition, they were like, okay, so we want you to sing Sweet Child of Mine. And because this was about 1987, 86, somewhere around there. And so I was like, I don't know the lyric. So they hand me a piece of paper, right, with the lyric. And this is what I did. I was like, before they started playing the intro on the song, you could hear in the microphone, you could hear. I was shaking so bad.
Oh, that's great.
And I stunk. So, but there was Zane Olson was the leader of the band. This got absolutely insane guitar skills that guy had. He saw some potential, so he was like, all right, I want you to go home, learn these songs. It was Sweet Child of Mine and God, Still of the Night, Whitesnake, all the screechy stuff. And he goes, come back in 2 days. And I was like, okay. So I went home and I ran through the songs over and over and over. And when I came back, I freaking nailed them. He looks at me from behind his guitar and he goes, if you want the job, it's yours. Wow. And I was like, okay. Wow. But then they were kind of a traveling band. They would get booked out to, places that would keep me from going to work. And at the time I was working for Honeywell. So I was like, man, I can't be traveling like this. And well, quit your job. So I can go from making $800 a paycheck to making $200 a paycheck. Good job,
So was that sort of the end of your musical career?
Oh, hell no. After that, after I had to leave Titanic, which was a cover band, then there was some guys that used to hang out at the Lakeshore, had their own band, Originals, and they called me up and said, hey, we'd like you to be in the band and stuff. And I said, well, I'll come over and we'll chat and stuff. No, I want to be able to tell the guys you're in the band. So I'm all like, but I need to come over and listen to, no, I want to be able to tell them you're in. I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I was
peer pressure.
I was in that band. I was in that band for several years. It's a good bunch of guys. One of those guys I've actually reconnected with here. He lives right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I've reconnected with him. I went and watched the Super Bowl on his boat.
That's cool.
Hey, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. So after that, then it was different iterations of the same band members kind of all squishing around and doing other things. And then I wound up in a band called Mindfold. And I have a 12-song souvenir from that. We were getting a fully produced album done in the studio, and the producer flaked on us. And after his wife left him and stuff, and he sold his studio and just threw every project he was doing out out in the trees and just walked away.
Wow.
So it never really got finished. It's the copy that I have of it is a little bottom indie. It's a little bassy, but they were really good songs for the time. We recorded that in '97, and it could have kicked some ass. But
so from there, did you go from singing to stage?
No, I did the stage and the voiceover thing were almost simultaneous.
I see.
I had started trying to do voiceover stuff, and had gone to my wife and I had gone to a production at one of the community theaters around town of Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh wow!
And I was all like, God, I love these songs and stuff. And I was like, dude, I could do that. I already know how to sing, right? So I should go and get on stage. And when I finally got the nerve to go and audition, well, she had to go with me because I was going to chicken out. I was like, no, I'm not going. And she's like, no, you're going.
Go. Yeah.
So she went with me and the two stepkids, and they sat in the back, and I went up on. I was probably lit, as I recall. I probably was. I was a little buzzed because I was scared, and I went up and it was an audition for Man of La Mancha, and I sang. What's that opening song for Oklahoma? Oh, what a beautiful morning!
Cool.
I was all like, I didn't bring any music, so what do you got? And the piano lady, who I got to know really well in the years following from doing shows, she's like, I got, well, what a beautiful morning. I was like, yeah, I think I know that enough,
And you pulled that off on the first time of you walking into the theater to do this? That's
yeah, and I didn't just get like chorus Joe part, I wound up with a pretty substantial part.
Wow.
I was
That's cool.
Actually, I just posted that picture with me with a beard. It's the only time I've ever had a beard.
Yeah, I saw that one.
That was from 2006, Man of La Mancha, and I was playing Dr. Carrasco, and who is also the Duke when they're in prison. Dr. Carrasco in the imaginary story, and Knight of the Mirrors in the imaginary story, where he scares the shit out of Cervantes to try to scare him straight.
Is there any production that you wanted to be part of, but you weren't able to get a part in it? I mean, I assume because you're so versatile as an actor, you were in almost probably all of the Puget Sound productions that they could put you in, I assume.
Man,
right?
it was all community theater in the west side of the Sound, but Sweeney Todd.
Oh, I'm sure.
Sweeney Todd, that's cool.
I was pretty much a lock for the part of Sweeney Todd, but
wow,
I was freaking hammered at the auditions. And the director was like, "Oh, this guy's a loose cannon," so he didn't really want to cast me. I was told this years later that it was all like, "Dude, you were probably going to get that part."
You would have been a great Sweeney Todd.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna scare the bejeebers out of people.
You would have been.
I wasn't gonna be playing. I was. Oh boy, yeah. Awesome. I was gonna get them, but no. I mean, I was Billy Bigelow in Carousel.
Wow.
I've been in a production of Evita. I was Randall P. McMurphy in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh,
I love that.
Dude,
I love
that's
that.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. How did you play it? Because Jack plays it. Kind of.
Yeah, no, I was very much myself. That part fit me a lot because I'm slightly bonkers and I can I can go off on a tangent at like any given second. So. Me screaming and hollering at the wackadoos in the hospital and killing Nurse Ratched or trying to kill Nurse Ratched. Yeah, that was right up my alley, man.
Right up your alley, exactly.
Yeah. Put the ball in the basket, Chief.
But it was so many. Yeah, that was a fun scene because we actually had a basketball, and so we were all shooting. We sort of choreographed a few moves, and then shooting through dude's hoop, which was this really really old guy. that played the part. So we had to be careful not to knock him off the chair or whatever he was standing on.
The guy that played Chief was really old?
No. The guy who was being the basketball hoop. I can't remember what the character's name was.
Oh, right. Yeah, the guy that was like up above. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the guy that played the chief was enormous. His
That's
name is
cool.
David Payne, and he's
Wow.
he's huge.
Did you get on his shoulders?
Yeah, did he pick you up?
No.
No.
But I'll tell you what, having him kill me every night of that production sometimes it was like I could barely breathe
Wow.
because he was pushing down so hard. I would have to try to like be all and kind of, as the pillow got on my face, turn my head a little bit because he was putting weight on me, man. And I was all like, and I'm thrashing around and stuff, and I'm doing these death quivers with my hands and stuff as my hand goes down. It's so cool.
That's pretty awesome, man. Wow.
Yeah, I would cry. I can cry sometimes. I'm pretty good. In Evita, I was getting big old tears in the opening scene. And it was cool. I'd turn around and look at the audience, and people would go, "Oh," and I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm crying. What are you going to do about it?"
That's so cool, man.
That just shows you're very versatile as an actor, Ken.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of things that you can do, and a lot of people just think, "Oh, well, he voices Bowser," but there's so many other things that you've done.
Yeah, I would like to. Some of the, I mean, I would entertain the thought of doing professional theater. I've never done anything professional, but. Chris might remember that we were at that show. I think it was Richmond or something where John Glover and Diane Pershing, they heard me sing. And then the next day in the green room, Diane was like, "Are you insane? You don't do professional theater?" And she goes, "I don't bullshit."
Yeah,
I'm
like, she did. I remember that. I think that was Richmond.
Yeah, I think it was Richmond.
Yeah, it was Richmond.
I remember that green room. Yeah. That green room was huge.
Oh God, yeah, I love that green room.
Not that I want to go back a little bit, but I kind of want to touch base on it. You said that you were, you mentioning that you were on a boat for the Super Bowl party, but you said earlier that you were in the Navy. I mean, that's pretty incredible. Thank you for your service, of course. But
thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? I mean, a lot of people would never know unless you brought it up. So
it was the submarine service. I'm all going, now do I have any pictures? My wife's been scanning every picture that we have so that we can throw them away.
Well, don't throw them away. That's a bad idea.
What happens when your hard drive crashes?
That's the thing. That's why they make these things. You make several.
Keep the photos. Tell Christina to keep the photos.
Yeah, I've got plenty that are sitting here that are dead. So trust me.
You definitely have to make multiple copies, and
even though they're SSD.
Other copies will be sent away. But I just saw one of these advertised that was like 2 terabytes.
Oh yeah, I know. And they're super cheap now too.
Anyway, so I was on USS Ohio. It was a fleet ballistic missile submarine, and back in the Cold War of the 80s, the tail end of the Cold War. The whole time I was in was the Reagan administration. So, I was a sonar technician on a big missile boat.
Can you tell us a little bit about what a sonar technician does? I mean, the common fan here is not going to know what that is. So
you operate and maintain the sonar system. So
and how many years did you do this for?
6.
Amazing. That's
incredible. I got out after 6 years, and I really should have stayed in because I made E6. Wow, that just freaked me out. Anyway, my monitor went to sleep, and it scared me because I thought the power went out.
Yeah, that would not be good right now.
You're still here, so you should have stayed in. Why? Because after 6 years, you would think that you would want to get out and do something else.
Yeah, I mean, I did. I made E6, which is a first class petty officer. I did that in just over 5 years, which is almost unheard of. But submarine sonar was wide open, and so as long as you weren't a dirtbag, you pretty much advance every time you took the test.
Right.
So I would have if I'd have stayed in, I would have retired at 42 years old as an E9 Master Chief, and my life would be different, because right now I don't have any health insurance, and if I was in the Navy, they'd just give it to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, what are you gonna do?
You don't have that special Nintendo health insurance.
I don't. I have to tell fans this a lot. It's like,
yeah, I know.
I don't work for Nintendo.
No, you're an independent contractor. People don't realize
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is
That's
it essentially
right now I'm out of work.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so are we. So we get it completely. But no, so that's something I think you touched on, and I think it's important to explain it to fans. But you, as a voiceover professional, people hire you to do voice work. Now, of course, you're beloved and you're the quintessential voice of Nintendo's Bowser for Super Mario Brothers. But people, amazing. Right. People don't realize that you're hired for other things also. It's not only just that character.
Yeah,
having 35 credits.
Yeah, I've done some. Some of the people go, "Oh, well, what else could I? What else have you done?" And for a long time, I was all like, "Well, I'm one of those guys that interrupts your Spotify playlist, with a, with some message about, Post-it notes, Post-it note tip number 25, do this with them, make a paper airplane, whatever." But and I did some Rocket Mortgage stuff for Spotify, and the thing that you mentioned that's in the bio there, that this creature for this mega church in one of the Carolinas, that was fun to do. He was reading little Bible stories.
You mean Zingo? It's a storytelling dragon. Zingo, the storytelling dragon.
See, they told me he was going to be a dragon, and then when I went and looked it up later on YouTube and stuff, it's not. He looks like some kind of worm. He doesn't look like a dragon at all.
It's like a squirrel or something.
It's like some kind of a little worm critter. He's real friendly. And hey, kids, today we're going to learn about this thing, and do. So, yeah,
awesome,
that. And now, though, being here in North Dallas, so now it's anime. So anime and a lot of video game auditions, but so far I haven't landed any of those.
Well, but before we start dipping into some of the current stuff, I mean, can you talk about your first gig as Bowser? I mean, what was it like going into the studio? I mean, you had never been in the studio before, right?
It was. Was it for Strikers, right?
Yeah, Super Mario Strikers.
Yeah.
For the GameCube. That was back on the GameCube.
Amazing.
Yeah, no, I was scared to death. I had been in a recording studio, but to record vocals for my band. So, I mean, I was familiar with mics and the process, but had never done any voiceover work really to speak of. So I go in there like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing.
Hey, fake it till you make it, right, Kenny? Fake it till you make it.
That's what I did. But I went in there, they were happy with it, and then it wasn't very long after that, as I recall. That was actually a pretty short session, because Bowser doesn't.
How long was it? I mean,
yeah, I want to say it was less than 2 hours.
Okay.
Wow.
For Strikers, because there's not really that much that Bowser does in that. I don't believe he's playable in that.
I don't think he is.
He would come crashing down into the arena and roar and shoot fire everywhere and then disappear again, and that's all I remember. And then, I found out later on that I was the robot super team on that game too, and I didn't even know
really?
it. So
that's pretty cool.
They just took my Bowser stuff and mechanized it, and
was there other cases in other video games that you've done for Super Mario Brothers where you did other voices? I mean, did they ever ask you to do other stuff, or
Meowser, right?
Well, yeah, it's still Bowser, but Meowser was one of my favorites, but.
You got different Bowsers, because Meowser, Dry Bowser, I mean, they're all their own individual characters.
Yeah, they sound a little different. Yeah.
I mean, if we're giving Charles Martinet credit for Waluigi and Luigi and Wario and mean, we're gonna there's different Bowsers. So
there's different Bowsers, especially with Meowser. Meowser is definitely a departure from regular Bowser because of the cat that meow that I if you know, to do a and roll Bowser on top of that to where it's
That's awesome.
It's
so
amazing.
yeah, it's really weird. But yeah, the second session, if I remember correctly, was for both Mario Kart Wii and Galaxy at the same time. That's the way I remember it.
Yeah, because Strikers came out kind of late for GameCube.
For the game,
And
yeah, it was really
I think
late.
Galaxy was one of the first ones that came out.
Yeah,
right?
it was one of the
For
I think it
Wii?
was the first Mario title on the Wii.
Yeah. And then after
And
that,
then,
it was New Super Mario Brothers, or was it Color?
well, Mario Kart Wii came out
Yeah.
right after that, I think. I don't know. I would have to look at it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right.
I don't even know.
I remember it being such a big deal because I sold Wiis for a living.
Right, yeah.
I don't know if you know this, Kenny, by the way, but I actually sold the first Wii in the United States.
Nice. I had to go to Toys R Us at like 5 o'clock in the morning to get mine.
Did you when you went in, did you go, "Hey, I'm the voice of Bowser"? The guy goes, "Yeah, sure you are."
Yeah, right.
Sure you are.
Actually, no. You know, there was a couple times where I've been in a GameStop though, and I went to a GameStop in Silverdale, Washington, and I wanted to get an amiibo, my first amiibo, Bowser amiibo, and I went and found it, and I brought it over, and I was all like, "Yeah, Bowser's going to buy Bowser," and they're like, "What?" And I go, I do the voice for Bowser, and they're like, "No," and
yeah,
I go,
right.
I go, you look it up, you might be able to find it. Now it's easier to find it, but for a while there, it was hard to find me. You know, Googling it was hard to find it.
Now you're everywhere.
Now you're everywhere.
I remember I signed the back of that guy. His phone was white, and he wanted me to sign the back of his phone. I was all like, "Well, you better do something. Take a picture of it with somebody else's phone because it's going to wear off." And that was probably one of my first Bowser autographs.
So wait a second. So the guy at the GameStop had you sign his phone?
Yeah.
There's so many things at the store. And that doesn't even make sense.
The place that sells it that has like posters and all this
I
other
know.
crap. Oh, here, sign my phone, man.
Even a receipt would have been better.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
Didn't make any sense whatsoever. I keep thinking
the
I'm
game sitting on the shelf, like you go get the actual game.
Not to mention, you bought the amiibo there, so he could have gone to.
Yeah, they probably had other amiibos.
They probably had other amiibos.
Yeah, they had 4 or 5 of them on the pegboard. So
of course it is GameStop, and I know for a fact that they don't pay good. So maybe the guy was like, "Yeah, I don't have any money to buy anything."
Yeah, that's where I got my first amiibo. I've got 5 different ones now.
So you collect all your Bowser toys. I think that's pretty cool. I think you're one of the few people that really embrace what you do, though, Kenny. So
yeah, you can see it. This I just bought these shelves back here, and it's got a bunch of my Bowser stuff on it, and I've got fan art and so many other things that I need to go through. And
do you have the wedding amiibo?
Yeah,
that one's awesome.
That one's pretty cool.
And I have 2 different Skylanders ones.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, the black Bowser and the regular Bowser. They're identical except that the black Bowser has, black. But
yeah.
One of the things you were saying earlier was
my favorite.
You Meowser, it takes a lot of energy to do that, and especially when you're curling your meows. Was there ever a time where you lost your voice from a voiceover session, and what did you do to sort of find it back? No, not really.
No,
that's incredible. A lot of people don't have that talent, Kenny.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. I've had like this nearly bulletproof set of vocal cords ever since I can remember. That the guy in the band Titanic that I was in, he used to say I was indestructible. And I have had laryngitis on more than one occasion. It always scared the crap out of me because I didn't know whether my voice would come back. But with Meowser, Meowser was probably the worst of it.
Oh wow!
That session was pretty long. That was for 3D World, and it seemed like it was just long. It may have seemed really long because of all the Meowser stuff, because I had to do all the regular Bowser stuff, and then on top of that, had to do all the power-up stuff.
Right.
And I could taste at the end of that first session. I did that in 2 sessions. and by the end of that session, the first session, I could taste blood.
Oh,
Wow.
You start getting that copper oxide kind of thing, and you're like, that's good.
Might be time to stop now.
Yeah, and I will drink 6 or 8 bottles of water during a recording session, and that I came back. It's one of the things that I tell people a lot. It's like I came back for the follow up, and my voice was really tired, and I came into the control room and I said, "What about the Meowser stuff?" And they said, "Well, we're translating an email from Japan right now." And I was like, "Oh boy," because I'm not just Bowser in the United States.
Yeah, you're
Right,
Bowser
and
worldwide.
Japan, and yeah.
I'm a global Bowser. So I sat there and sweated for 10 or 15 minutes, and somebody came in and, here you go. And they said, "Oh, nope, they love it. We're going to move on." I was like,
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
incredible. Now,
I did not want to do it again.
I know you. Is that your favorite game that you've worked on? That Meowser game?
It's my favorite voice.
Right.
What's your favorite
iteration.
game?
Well, I haven't played all of them, but
That you've played.
I'm still just about any kart game.
I love Mario
it's
Kart.
fun to drive,
Mario Kart, yeah.
Now I'm all thinking about this iRacing thing. I keep watching that, and I'm all like going, "What? That looks so cool." But probably Galaxy. It always comes back to Galaxy because Galaxy was the first time that they really did kind of an open world thing. It wasn't really open world, but you could run around. It wasn't a side scroller, and so it was all 3D and upside down, and I loved it. And I thought I did a lot of good work on it. I liked at the end of it because Bowser, it's all fire around him and stuff, and he's been beaten, and that was one of the few times that they had a nearly rendered scene for me to work with. And so
that's cool.
They played it, and all I can see is Bowser with his head up going. Right. So I was all like, all right. So I started doing some voice on it, and it came out sounding like he was going, "Mama, mama." And they were like, "Too much. That's too much, mama."
Mama. That's great.
I don't remember exactly what it sounds like, but it'd be more of a,
That's
so cool. Do you have a character that you wish you could do, like a dream character that you wish you could voice?
Oh wow, man!
It doesn't have to be just video games. It could be anything.
It could be anything.
Yeah, no, I immediately went to Futurama. I love Futurama, and the majority of the voices are Billy West,
right?
Who I've yet to meet, but I did freak out. I freaked out Phil Lamar when I was in Indianapolis first time I met him, and I came out.
PopCon, right? It was an Indie PopCon.
Yeah, it was the Indie PopCon, and I came out of the bathroom and he was standing there, and he was looking at his phone, and I walked up behind him and I went, "Good news, everyone," and he went, "What?" And he goes, "Have you met Billy?" And I went, "Nope, I haven't met him yet." And that was pretty much it for that end of the conversation.
I think that's like the intro to make it happen, Nery. I think he's trying to hint at something here.
That was yeah.
We need to hunt down Billy for him.
Well,
I like Zap Brannigan, and I need to try to start using that. I need to borrow Zap Brannigan.
He's such an interesting character.
Zap Brannigan.
Yeah.
You got to get that duh at the end. Brannigan.
Yeah. And you've got it down. It down.
When we were in Richmond, didn't you get to meet? Wasn't DiMaggio there?
Oh yeah, he got to meet DiMaggio at Florida. Right?
He was there.
Florida.
I was table neighbors with John at
Florida SuperCon.
No, it was after that, I think. But anyway,
you were table neighbors at Florida SuperCon. I know because I was standing by your table, and he was.
Nery was right there.
Right there.
You know who wasn't there? Me.
That doesn't sound right, but that's okay.
I remember the airport aisles in
Trust
front
me.
of us. So trust me, I remember.
Nery's got that brain, man. He can't
I know
forget.
it's that.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
It's a Rolodex.
Well, then
He's got
maybe
the Rolodex brain.
Then maybe it's been another one too, because it's something relatively recent that I was right next door to him.
Well,
No, I think maybe you're right, because Sam was on the other side of me, huh?
I know I'm right. Yes.
Sam was on my left.
Yeah. And
okay.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was pretty sure that you got to meet him at Richmond though, because I remember it was you and
I
Sam
didn't.
were there. No, that's weird. Yeah, because I know
no,
I walked
wait.
up and
Yes,
said hi
I
to
did.
him.
Yes,
yeah,
I
thought I
did.
brought you over to say hi.
I talked to him in the green room because I remember telling him that I liked I sat down at the table. I said, you know what I like the most about Bender? And he goes, oh, here goes. And I go, I like how much Bender likes Bender. Because Bender's always like, it's all about me, Bender.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Like my shiny metal ass.
So you did meet him. You met him in that amazing green room.
Yeah, the big green room. Yeah, where I was hanging out with Alice
GalaxyCon definitely has the better green room out there.
They do.
They really know what's up.
They take care of
Mike
their
does a good job about that.
Yep, they do, and they take care of their people and their artists, and that's like the key thing, you know. So,
yeah, I watched Mike stream the other day. It was fun.
He's phenomenal, and for you
Monica,
guys,
he's great.
Monica and Sabat. So Monica Rial and Chris Sabat and Dana Snyder were on there. It was insane.
Oh, I love Dana.
And for any of our fans that haven't seen the GalaxyCon streaming, go to their page, like GalaxyCon. And we're actually going to be having Mike Broder and Sandy Martin, the owners of GalaxyCon, on our show in a couple weeks. So that's going to be kind of exciting.
So Kenny, we asked you what your favorite game that you are in. Do you play video games, other video games? I mean, obviously you do. What's your favorite game that's not Mario related?
I gotta say that overall, throughout the entire spectrum of time, it's probably Red Dead 2.
Oh, it's such a good game, man.
It's insanely cool.
Such a good game.
Red Dead 2, my brother plays it. Now, I'm going to be honest. At one time, we represented 99% of the cast at one time. Yeah. And I will say that I became a fan of them in the game just by knowing the actors. And then I went and watched some of the YouTube movies that the fans cut together. And I'm just so in awe and impressed with that franchise. Because it's like a cinematic movie. It's a legitimate Western.
It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Forever. It takes forever. And I'm not one of those people that has to go and get every, outfit and go to every place, even though I would have liked to, but I had other things to do. Like I need to go and find this guy and kill him. So
you're like, I'm not going to fish right now. I'm going to go kill this guy.
Yeah, I didn't do very much fishing. It seemed like I always had plenty of food and stuff. So I was like, I'm not doing these little side missions, even though I should go back. I finished with High Honor.
You finished with High Honor? That's great.
That's cool.
Nery probably remembers the first time that I met the bulk of the cast, the main characters anyway. I don't remember what show we were at, but I got to the hotel, went down to the hotel restaurant, and you were there with 6 of them. Everybody but Roger. Roger came in later.
Sack Anime?
Was it Sack Anime?
Had to have been, because he was there.
It was Sack Anime.
Oh no, no. No, because we're talking about 2018.
Oh no, you're right. He's right. It was.
I think it was 2018 or early 2019.
Where did we? It was Philadelphia, but I didn't.
Philadelphia.
I didn't represent the cast at that event. We were working with another company at the time,
because I finished with High Honor, the scene towards the end with my horse. Roger told me later on, he was all like, it's that scene with the horse is different depending on how you finish the game.
Oh, that's funny.
He
I
goes,
didn't
if
know
you're high on her, it's like this, and if you're not, I'm trying not to do spoilers, and just in case
that.
nobody.
Not you kill the horse.
Yeah.
But I cried over that horse.
Did you
And
really?
yeah,
Wow.
it was
Aw,
that emotional. It was that emotional. My horse, her name was Spotty Horse.
spotty
Um,
horse.
yeah, and so, but you remember, Nery? I walked down there, and when I realized who all these guys were and stuff, I was all like, I said to Big Ben Davis, I went, "You guys' game made me cry," and he goes, "We didn't make you cry. You made you cry," and I was all like,
Aw.
"Okay."
No,
Yeah,
you know,
turn around.
that's so funny. And you walk away. Well, I'm there's plenty of times where we've brought you to a show, Kenny, and there's a lot of people you've met, sort of, and
Oh
created
yeah.
these industry connections. And I
Oh
think
yeah.
early on when we were discussing this, and you were like, I want to get more into this industry. How do I do that? I'm like, talk to people. This is the way to do it.
Yeah.
And you are really you are the poster child now, I think, of
It's
someone
true.
who's made it happen, because you were in a green room talking with a bunch of the anime actors, and you were like, I want to get an anime. They're like, move to Dallas. Not
Yeah.
And
thinking
now
that,
you're in
and
Dallas.
now you're in Dallas, and you're now working on anime stuff.
Yeah, I'm under contract at Funimation, and
That's cool.
I landed an audition and worked on a 3-episode show over at Sound Cadence Studios. That turns out I may never see it.
Oh
I
wow.
got killed in the first episode, but I was this mob leader guy that was a really heavy smoker, and so But then I
I
was
wonder why they
running,
chose you for that role.
and I went, yeah, well, I talked to the director, and she was like, well, yeah, it's one of the reasons I cast you is because he's a villain, and you're a villain, so I was like, I don't mind being typecast, it's fine.
That's cool, man.
Hey, the villains are probably some of the most memorable characters in all of
Dude,
entertainment.
everybody loves the villains. Come on.
Yeah, that particular show, and I can't remember the name of it because some of it was hard to pronounce anyway. Probably. I said, so when is this thing going to happen? And she goes, oh, this is being sent straight to Japan. And I was like,
never gonna see it.
I'm like, huh? She goes, yeah. They're probably going to use it as a DVD extra for this show. And it was only, it was 3 47-minute episodes of this show.
That helps your career tremendously. That's just phenomenal.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right, well, maybe someday I'll see it because people will wind up posting it on YouTube or something.
Somebody will print it out on your Xerox copy paper and have you sign it and say, I loved you as this character.
I got a kick out of the idea that it's like, oh, so it's a DVD extra. The Japanese, they probably have subtitles, and they want to watch our dubbed version of the show that they already like.
I mean, that's a pretty common thing. I think that's Japan is one of the. I mean, we see it a lot with our actors that play Mickey Mouse and Goofy, Brett Iwan and Bill Farmer. They like the original English voices. They like the original English voices, so they always tend to go for the English actor that does the voice, and then do the subtitle thing.
That's the only thing I do, sitting next to Bill. And he's over there doing the thing, he's working with the fans, and I'll just sit over at my table and go, oh boy. And he just, that's the only thing I can do that sounds right is, oh boy.
Unfortunately, thank God Brett Iwan is the best at that.
Yeah.
So he's amazing.
He's pretty incredible.
Yeah, let's see him do Bowser.
Yeah, wow. He can't.
Everybody's good at something.
He could draw Bowser.
He can. Yeah. He can draw
Bowser.
Yeah.
I think he could pretty much draw anything he wants. But
I think one of the questions that fans ask a lot is that, have you met, and I mean, we know the answer, but have you met Charles Martinet and Samantha Kelly? I mean, I know that you've done shows, but I know that. But I mean, prior to that, in the recording studio, did you get to meet them? What was that? Okay.
No. I'm not cutting you off. I'm just saying one time.
One time.
And actually, the memory is so far back that I'm pretty sure it was Sam Kelly that I bumped into at the studio once. But for sure, Charles, the first time I met him ever was at the studio, and I think we were recording Bowser's Inside Story, and I was just finishing up, and I knew he was coming in, so I hung out in the lounge. And when he came in, I was like, "Hey, I'm the guy that does Bowser," And he's all like, "Oh, how you doing?" And then they're like, "Hey, Charles, we got you sushi." So,
I'm just gonna say that. That's always the joke with Charles. It's like, "Hey, where's the sushi?"
I know. Well, he's a known lover of Japanese food in general. But yeah, they were like, "We got you sushi," and when I got to the studio, they pretty much were like, "Well, we'll call you in. You know where the lounge is. There's stuff in the refrigerator and snacks and
and Charles is like, "Hey, can you pass the sushi, please?"
Yeah, and they're all like, "Yeah." And I sat at the table in the lounge with them while they were eating, and finally they were like, "Oh, you want some of this?" I was like, "No."
You're like 5 Snickers bars deep already.
I mean, we've done
10 Red Bulls.
We've now done numerous reunions with, the cast. And I mean,
Yeah.
It always seems to be such a magical thing to get the three of you guys in a room together.
It's
Kenny.
fun.
I mean, it is. It's exciting, and the fans love it. I mean, the fact that you can bring, Mario, the villain Bowser, and the Princess Peach, who's played by client Samantha Kelly. I mean,
what I call the Holy Trinity. Sorry,
it's the holy. Right, it is the Holy Trinity.
It is.
I mean,
yeah.
you were as private as Samantha was for a long time, Kenny.
That's because I was ignorant to the situation, though, man. I had no idea. I'm going along. People don't know that up until about 3 years ago, I was still working in propane and propane accessories. So. And then I found out, you know what? I should try to book conventions. Why not? And so.
Right. I mean, it wasn't me that talked to you first. I think it wasn't Nery, right? Didn't
no,
Nery contact you first?
I sent you guys an email through the website,
Right.
saying, "I'm the voice of Bowser. Would you be interested in, And
I remember.
And Nery, yeah, right.
I'm pointing at your picture. It's funny, but Nery said.
Yeah, I remember getting that email and being like, yeah.
The first time we talked on the phone, though, you guys were in a car going to.
It's true. I know we were. I think going to the print lab.
Yeah, LAX. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
So yeah, and you guys were like on speakerphone, and and I was all like, okay.
I don't know if you know this. I mean, I don't know if we want to talk about this story, but I think the fans will love this. But you had already signed on to do 2 conventions before we started representing you.
Yeah.
So
I booked myself.
So you booked yourself, and we said, okay, let's help you out. So I was the one for your first 2 shows, did the banner, did the photos, and made sure that you were already a convention star even before you stepped foot into your first show. So
yeah, it was good that I had that banner because I was right next to Charles. My first show, Charles was there, and he had his normal booth set up, and I was next door with a little cardboard thing that just had my name on it, and that would have been all I had. So. But I mean that, and man, I got thrown right into the fire too because I had to do solo Q&A, my first show ever, and I had to do a solo Q&A with no moderator.
That's tough.
It was really tough. But I also got to do a panel with Mike Pollock, and that was good getting broken in on kind of a voiceover panel because he's nuts. Hi, Mike. He's bonkers. He's a lot of fun to talk to.
One of the things that you've been doing these conventions for a while.
Yeah.
What is your favorite part about doing a Comic-Con? Like, what do you enjoy out of it? I mean, it's a totally different world.
Man, I'm kind of an attention whore, so the fans, I got to give it first up to the fans, man. The fan base for this franchise is huge, and I may not have lines all the time, and that's fine, but the fans come up and they're like, oh my God, you are like the voice of my childhood, you know. And you got to love hearing stuff like that, and people are like, I've had people cry at my table. It's weird. But the second thing is geeking out over other celebrities. That runs a close second. So,
I mean,
because I do,
I remember the first time you met Alan Oppenheimer. So that
oh
was
yeah, that was in the airport. I don't remember which airport, but it was in an airport.
Well, I took the photos actually showing on the screen right now. The first time you met Alan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
it looks like it might be DFW.
And I immediately shook his hand and said, "Wow, I love Westworld."
Yeah.
And he really appreciated that because, he expects me to say something about Skeletor or, whatever. And I was like, yeah, I used to watch He-Man, even though I was in my 20s, but yeah, I watched it. But, I knew him from Westworld among other a bazillion appearances and a bazillion things,
Who's your favorite actor meeting this? I mean, you're also a fan too, Kenny. Who is the person that you enjoyed meeting the most?
So far, it was just at Pensacon. Michael Biehn from Aliens and Terminator, amongst other things. But we wound up sitting next to each other on the flight from Pensacola to Dallas. And that 2 hours, I mean, this guy could have been my brother. We had so much in common.
That's so cool.
But more like a doppelganger. It's almost like we were like evil twins or something. Just our backgrounds, all kinds of things, alcohol, all just numerous things. We laughed so hard during that flight. People thought we were nuts. We're keeping, I'm sorry, like Billy Zane, I was like, sorry, I'm keeping you awake over there, But that
you got Johnny Ringo and Bowser on a plane. I love it.
Johnny Ringo.
That flight was like a who's who in that particular section, man. It was Jim Cummings and Dave Thomas and Billy Zane, and it's like
we had
this big. Yeah, but I'm sitting right next to him. I could not believe how much we had in common. It was insane. We had a great time, and I really look forward to running into him again at another show. It'll be great. So yeah, But I don't know. I also, Chris can attest to this, that I completely geeked out being able to go over and spend a few minutes with Weird Al. So that was fun.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
He was really very gracious. He was very gracious to have me over, and I don't think the line they had released the masses yet, but so I sort of got in at the head of the line, and got my wife a signed picture, and she freaked completely. So it was cool.
That's so cool.
I bring her. I like to bring her the ones that she's really, really fond of. When I brought her an Alan Oppenheimer, autograph on Falkor, and she completely wigged out.
Oh, who doesn't love Falkor? Come on.
Yeah. So, I brought her a Bambi picture from Donnie Dunnigan.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was my table neighbor in Richmond, and that was a lot of fun.
I mean, what's great about those shows, especially the GalaxyCon shows, is that Mike was the first person to sort of maintain and establish voiceover in our industry, in the convention industry.
Well, I gotta appreciate
that. They are headliners at his show. So, I mean, if it wasn't for him, a lot of the voiceover appearances that I think that our company attends across the country would not have our clients as a guest if he wasn't the first guy to start that. So, kudos to him.
Go Hawks.
Seahawks.
Before we get on to fan questions, Kenny.
Yeah.
What one of the things people ask when they come to your table is, why do you think Bowser is so obsessed with Princess Peach?
Man, I have this theory, and I have no idea if it's just in my own head or if it's anything even. It's probably nothing close to canon at all. That Bowser spends a lot of his time wrecking stuff and changing things and making them into his particular, vision.
Right.
Peach has the power to reverse that stuff. And that's why I think he's constantly incarcerating her. The wedding thing, though, That's a little out there.
She's remaking the things that he undoes.
Yeah, she has the power to fix things. But
Right.
see, that's my own theory, because
that's pretty good.
The thing with the relationship thing, that's just weird.
No, it's funny because you would never. It's just an odd couple. That's why people love it. I think it's just the oddest of couples, and especially the wedding stuff. I mean, just to see a big, bulky, dragon-looking thing with Princess Peach.
Aren't they still technically married? Right?
Yeah,
I don't think
technically.
Like they got married in, I think, Paper Mario or something like that.
Yeah, technically they're married. So it's always so interesting to me that dynamic. And we're kind of happy because after this epidemic ends, Samantha Kelly has agreed to do more shows with Kenny. So we're going to try to tour them around the country.
We need to get her on here too.
We
need to convince her to come on.
It would be amazing. And she's a very private person, but
Sammy.
We love Sam.
We love
Sam's
Sam.
amazing.
She's a sweetheart. And if you want to meet Princess Peach, she's the closest thing to Princess Peach that you can meet. Literally,
she is. She's a doll.
I will never forget Friday morning at SAC Anime Winter 2019, and she was in the lobby of the hotel, and we're getting ready to go over to the show, and she walked up to me, and she's like really quiet, and she goes, "I don't know what to do." And I'm, this is only like my 4th show or something, but so I'm acting like I know what the hell's going on. I've done 4 shows, so I told her, I said, just sit at your table and you don't have to do anything. It'll all just happen.
And, Kenny, and I'm going to let the fans know, she was one of the most requested guests for SAC Anime in the last decade.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to do it. And Chris and I feel like we were stalkers because we kept calling and emailing and being like, hey.
I called many times.
This is the time to do it.
I was like, I got it.
Well,
but the offers were so good. I was like, I got to do it, man. Like, you can't leave that stuff on the table and not let the person know. And so,
and it is,
It is.
I got a hold of her husband first, and I talked to him, and he's a super nice guy. And I explained it to him, and I said, "Look, this is not like anything crazy. This is a legitimate offer.
Like, and we're a family operation. We are not weird. This is not.
We're not weirdos.
Yeah, you can talk to both of us. Well, but still, other than my crazy shirts, that's it. I mean, that's really, So, getting her to do the show was a huge highlight for our company because a lot of people have wanted to meet her for many years, and people flew from around the world to see the 3 of you for the first time. Yeah.
And you guys together are amazing. I mean, I'm so glad
we
are together.
We do. We have a lot of fun.
It's and she loves it now. I mean, whenever I talk to her about it, she's like, "Oh man, I'm so glad that you called, and I'm so glad I'm a part of this. And I love being with Kenny and Charles." She has a blast, and she's a doll, like just so amazing. She's totally one of those great people to meet.
Yep, I agree with all of that.
It's funny when we were in
she is Peach.
When we were in speaking of Peach, when we were at MomoCon. You and I were talking about something, and she came up to me and she said, "Hey, I want to walk around and look at the tables and stuff." So we walked around, and there was this girl that had art, and she had Princess Peach art, and I brought her up, and she was like, "Oh, these are great," and the girl didn't know it was her. And so finally I told her, and the girl started crying her eyes out.
Yeah.
And people, people are so attached to the characters. I mean, especially for you. I mean, same thing. People love Bowser. Oh, people want to know if that's a soundproof door.
That's the door to my whisper room. I'm in my little home studio.
Whisper room. That sounds terrible.
That's awful.
No, Whisper Room is the brand. They build these.
Oh, got it. I was like, we're totally giving the wrong message, Kenny. Totally giving the wrong message.
No, this is my sound booth. This is my recording booth.
That's very cool. Saki the sock puppet wants to hear your best Bowser roar.
Oh boy.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
So the next one is
I'm so self-conscious about that because I think this audio is coming through my thing here, so I didn't want to get really weird.
No, you're good. It sounded good.
Did you watch Tiger King, Kenny? I mean, that's something that's been.
No, I haven't. No.
Okay. So this you won't be able to answer this one then. Jason Schlerman says much respect for Kenny.
Thank you.
Karen Showalter says hi from Whittier, California.
Hello.
Yeah, Whittier.
Becca Roberts says, well, Kenny, you're a wonderful badass and I love you. Enjoy the rest of this life and have fun.
Wow.
Yeah, Becca, I know her from a couple of shows. She works.
Megan doesn't want you to throw pictures away.
Megan says, don't throw away pictures.
Yeah, don't throw them away.
Mary Holland Tuckwell says she's sharing live stream from Australia.
Yeah,
nice.
Mary.
I'm ready to go visit.
We know Mary from the St. Louis show. Kenny didn't go to that show, but it was me, Oppie, Greg Berger, and Margaret Carey. And we did it was Scotty's show. And Mary was there because it was a Grease reunion. She's a big Grease fan, and she flew out for the reunion. And so she's a big fan of CelebWorx. So thank you for watching.
Stranded at the drive-in.
Matt Gurley said, great to hear you served. Very few do. And I think Matt served also. So thank you, Matt, for your service.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
Courtney Wright says, Nery Lemus is so on the nose. I don't know what about, but I'm always right. So that's fine.
Yeah,
don't encourage him, people, please.
Usually.
Hi, Courtney. She misses us.
Saki the Sock Puppet asks, will Bowser be playable in Super Mario Odyssey 2, which I don't know.
I have no idea.
We won't know. Yeah, Nintendo doesn't tell anybody that stuff until it comes out.
Yeah.
Stacy Gray says hi, and she says, glad to see that the wheel is still turning. We love you too, Stacy. I hope Michael's great.
Yeah, the wheel is still turning on the planet so far, huh?
Yep. Yeah, we got to get Michael on the show. That'd be kind of fun.
I still want to wear
original Billy Batson.
I want to wear the shirt too.
We got to wear the Billy Batson shirts. That'd be cool.
Oh, see, I didn't put on anything. I just
Are you Winnie the Pooh in it?
No. I have on my Charlie Brown jammy pants.
Oh, okay.
They're wintry. They got Snoopy on them. That's important.
They have Snoopy?
Yeah, they have Snoopy on them and snowflakes and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm looking and seeing, okay, I think that's pretty much it for the questions. I mean, I'm putting the comments that people have been putting on. Hey, Mike Grover.
Oh, Michael.
Mike's watching the podcast. That's
Mike,
great.
Hey. Hi.
That's great.
Bye,
and
hopefully I still get to go to Minneapolis if the world doesn't explode first, you know.
It's going to happen. It'll be fine. Everything will be fine. And, we're blessed to do what we do, and I know we always say this, but it's just a real pleasure. And Saki the Sock Puppet is asking, please come to Chicago for Ace Comic-Con. We would love to bring them to Ace Comic-Con, but once again, that's up to Stephen Seamus and
their crew.
and their
send
crew.
Send them emails.
Yeah, exactly. It's up to the fans.
Hit them up for the fans out there that want to see any of our clients at shows, telling us we already know. we want them there. So you got to tell the promoter and the show. And so somebody like Kenny, if you want to see Kenny on the show, hit up the promoter, go on their social media, email them, do whatever you can, and then get friends to do it too, because then the more people that do it, the more it'll, they'll pay attention to it.
And before it's up to the fans, and hopefully we'll get past this epidemic and and let us be able to have events that allow people, more than 300 people, to enter a building. That's what we're waiting for, right? So Kenny, before we end the show, is there anything you want to tell people, where they can find you, things to follow? Do you want to plug anything?
Yeah, sure. My Instagram's pretty simple. It's Kenny James Bowser. On Twitter, I changed it to Kenny James Bowser, but because you have limited characters on that, it's Kenny James Bowser without the E in Bowser. So it's BOWSR. But I mean, if you put it in a search, you would find me anyway. But and I think on Facebook, it's just Kenny James. You just have to find me.
Yeah, and
Kenny's. Those are my social medias. But I'm
Kenny's
mostly
hilarious on social media, so definitely add him.
I don't know. I don't know about hilarious. A little strange.
So I guess that's the cue, right?
Yeah.
So we're approaching the end of the show, guys. Before we take off, we want to tell you a few things. Our next show will be planned for Saturday, not Sunday, at 5 p.m. Pacific, and we want to announce our special guest for next week's program. And it's nobody from the Seattle Seahawks, of course.
No.
So our next show is going to be we're going to be taping it on Saturday, and our show is going to be with James Spence and Ryan Spence of JSA Authentication.
So that's a big guest to have on. As you probably know, James Spence Authentication is the leader of autograph authentication, and it's going to be a really fun thing to have them on. It'll be a fun thing to have them on and sort of talk a little bit about that side of the industry.
Kenny, have you ever met them?
Well, you guys dropped off. It was all really weird for a while, so I didn't hear any of that.
Oh, it's because we put the graphic up. We're putting up another.
We don't want you to hear anything.
I couldn't hear it. I couldn't see you guys. I was like, oh, they cut me off.
Were you feeling a little bit, abandoned, Kenny? I'm so sorry.
Completely abandoned. So
I'm so sorry. Well, shortly after we're gonna have to end this, but
who were you talking about that I need to what?
We were talking about our guest for next Saturday at 5 p.m. We're going to have Ryan Spence and James Spence from JSA, the authentication.
Oh, yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah. Have you ever met them?
No. My wife just handed me this sticky that says Cameo, only she misspelled it.
So before we end it off, can you throw your Cameo out there, Kenny? Yeah. Tell people about your Cameo.
Yeah, I'm on Cameo, so it's just Kenny James. If you put in Bowser or Kenny James, you should be able to find me. But I just reactivated my account, so that people have a place to go. Since if their con gets canceled and they really wanted to get an autograph, then they can at least get me to say, hey, do a shout out and stuff. And I think that's the only thing I'm on right now as far as those sites go. I haven't done FanMeo yet, so.
Cameo is great, so you can stick with
that. Yeah. I did a couple of them the other day. It's a lot of fun.
Before we end it, can you throw a little bit of Bowser their way, just a little bit?
Love it.
Or Meowser.
I love it, man. That's so awesome. All right, guys. Well, I guess we're gonna end on that note. That sound good, Ner?
Yeah, end it.
Okay. Once again, guys, this is Christopher Arsaga. You can follow me on Instagram at @TheRealArsaga. And always remember, stay snazzy.
And this has been Nery Lemus. You can follow me on Instagram at @TheRealNeryLemus. Just leaving you a small reminder, always keep your feet on the ground, always reach for the stars, and never forget to stay inspired. Night, everybody.
Night, everybody. Love ya.